Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be creating this smoky blue glittery fierce look, which I'm super excited for. So let's get started. So obviously my model has incredible eyebrows, so we're not going to really do much to them, but for the meantime I am just putting some clear brow gel all throughout to just brush them out of the way. That was the Benefit Clear Brow Gel. I'm then going to be taking my MAC Select Cover Up, and I am going to be just kind of cleaning up the baseline of her brow. Just by doing this, you can really tell, like, it looks like her brow is already filled in, but really all we did was just create this sharp, clean line and just made her whole eyelid opaque. I'm using a MAC 252 brush to do this, and I am pressing on that Select Cover Up because it's going to become tacky once the air starts to mix with it. And this is also going to act as our eye primer. Once that is patted down, I'm going to be taking the Kylie Naughty palette. With a small blending brush, I am taking the shade Pixi, which is like a matte gray, very, very cool tone shade, and just beginning to apply this all throughout her crease from the inner corner to the outer corner, going in small circular motions, and just really taking my time to blow this out. I'm then going in with the shade Coal, which is like a dark greenish gray matte color as well, with the same brush, and again just going in small circular motions with a very, very light pressure to get this really nice soft blend. Since this is going to be a very dark eye, it's very easy to kind of over apply, and you don't want it to come out choppy or chalky. So in order to make sure you have control, it's best to just stay in small circles with light pressure. I'm then going to be taking a much smaller blending brush and applying some black shadow on the outer V and inner C of the eye to really darken it up and create some dimension before going in and joining those two sides in the middle in the crease. And again, just applying some light pressure, going back and forth, back and forth. And then once I feel like I've built up the black deep enough, I'm just going to go over once more with the original brush that I had used to apply the first two shadows. And just again, giving everything just one last blend. And again, I'm doing super small circular motions. I'm then going to be taking a flat synthetic brush because I'm going to be using my L'Oreal gel eyeliner in black to apply this all over her lid space. Anything that's basically from the root of her lashes up to her crease. And I'm using a synthetic brush because I want this to be deposited, not held onto the brush, where if you were to use a real hair brush, you wouldn't really get a nice deposit of the gel liner, since real hair holds product better. I'm then going to be taking some matte black shadow and just pressing that on top to really amplify the intensity of the black. Once that is built up to my liking, I am taking that 252 brush again and applying the NYX glitter primer all over her eyelid, just kind of tapping it on lightly, and then getting my finger and using a glitter from Beauty Creations. This particular shade is like a gunmetal bluish black kind of shade. It's super pretty. It is called Solar. And then once I felt like I built up enough with my finger, I am going to be just taking a little bit more on that 252 brush and just kind of placing where I see need fit. I wiped away any fallout with a makeup wipe, so that is why her skin looks nice and clean again. For primer, I am using the Pixi Rose Flash Balm, which is a super hydrating moisturizing primer. She had a little bit of a drier skin type, and this is such a good primer for those who have dry skin. It is very emollient, and it will just hydrate the skin, make it nice and plump and ready for foundation. I'm using the Milani 2-in-1 foundation in shade 3 and applying this with a flat foundation brush first, just to get an all over opaque even amount of foundation. I'm really trying to get more bang for my buck with using this method. It helps distribute the amount of foundation you pumped out evenly, as opposed to maybe picking it up with a sponge or applying with a brush first, and then you get all this deposit of foundation only on one area and you kind of are lacking in maybe other areas. Whereas this method, I'm spreading everything out evenly, but this isn't going to be the only tool I use to apply. This is just solely to place it onto the skin. I'm then going to be taking a damp beauty blender to buff everything out, but I find that this just creates a nice even amount of foundation all over the face. So here, obviously this is not in real time, even though I wish it would go this fast. I am going to be just kind of evening things out with the Beauty Blender, really pressing it in. And if there was too much foundation applied, the damp Beauty Blender will absorb anything extra that's unnecessary. For highlighting, I'm using the LA Girl Natural Concealer, which is an oldie but a goodie. You guys used to see me use this all the time, which I still use. It's still in my kit. It's a favorite amongst my concealers, and I think it's a good, inexpensive concealer that gives you a nice flawless full coverage finish. So I'm applying this mainly in the center of her face, and I am then going to be taking the shade Beautiful Bronze as the contouring shade. I am applying this around her hairline and a little bit in her cheekbones. She has a really nice defined jaw already, so I really didn't feel the need to contour that area of her face. And then just taking a little bit on the tip of her nose just to bronze everything up a little bit more, because I like the tip of the nose to be a little bit bronzed up. Once everything is applied, again, I'm going to be taking that same Beauty Blender and just buffing everything out. You're going to notice that I didn't buff out the under eye area, the area that's closest to her lash line, because I like to leave that after I've done contouring. This does dry really matte, and I don't want the creases that would happen to settle, so that's why I like to leave that area closest to her eye really chunky of concealer still, because I'm going to go in later once I'm ready to set that with some powder. So here I am just using a Luxie little fluff brush to blend out the concealer, going in circular motions. Here is real-time view, so you can see exactly what kind of pace I'm going at. And again, I'm kind of just making sure to use this in an upwards motion. You don't want to drag your contouring down, because that's just going to drag your client's face down even more, and you're going to go for a more droopy look than a chiseled, fierce look. So really want to make sure you're mindful of where your contour is spreading out to. You always want to keep it in the relevant zones. If you go outside of the zones, then that's when things get messy and splotchy, and you're finding yourself trying to fix this contouring mess. So really just be mindful of where everything is starting to spread out. So now you can see I am blending out that area underneath her eye, and I'm going to be setting it with the RCMA No Color powder, which is my favorite. And again, it's very inexpensive, and trust me, you will take forever to burn through one bottle. I've had the same bottle for probably a year already, and I still have not finished it. So just to kind of give you perspective. I'm then going to be taking the NYX Stay Matte Not Flat Foundation Powder and just kind of going over everything. This is how I like to set the rest of my face for my clients. This is what makes everything very long lasting, very flawless, and good for photos, especially the NYX Stay Matte Not Flat. It's my favorite foundation powder to keep in my kit. It's inexpensive and does what I need it to do. For highlighting, I am using the Fenty Killawatt Fire Crystal and Lightning Dust Duo, and I'm first applying it on the Cupid's bow, then on the chin, and this is my favorite part. This just makes her skin look like butter. It looks unrealistic in my opinion, but I love it. You guys know I love an intense highlight. Not everyone does, and that's okay. If you are not someone who loves an intense highlight, I would say just switch up the brush. Use a tapered brush. It applies less product. This method I am doing, it applies a really strong amount of product in one particular area. For her blush, I am using the Morphe 9B palette, and I'm taking this on a large Luxie fluff brush. And I just went with something a little bit more pinky neutral, because the eyes do have this really nice bluish hue to them. To finish off the eye look, I'm taking more of that Loreal black gel, and I'm using an angled brush. My favorite type of brush to use to apply gel liner to the waterline is anything that's flat and not pointy, just so I don't run the risk of poking their eye with the tip of the brush. And I'm just kind of using that flat edge to press it onto her waterline. I'm then taking a flat shader brush and some black matte shadow and just setting that black gel liner so it doesn't move, and then layering the colors from darkest to lightest that we used on her top lid to create that nice gradient fade. And if things get messy or you have fallout, it should wipe off pretty easily, since we did set her under eye with powder. And if not, you can always take a little bit more concealer. My favorite tip is to take some concealer on a small fluffy brush, and you can gently clean up that area underneath the eye, and you shouldn't run into any problems. Key is to not use too much product. If you use too much concealer on top of a dry area, it's going to get clumpy, or you could run the risk of taking off that concealer in chunks, and that's going to just ruin the whole look. So this is a safe way to kind of clean things up in case you need to, in case things don't brush off easily just by wiping them away. For mascara, I'm going to be taking the Loreal Lash Paradise, and I'm coating her lashes before applying her falsies because I want a nice strong hold, kind of like a landing strip for her lashes to adhere to. So I'm doing the top and bottom lashes. And for the falsies, I am using Tatti Lashes in style TL3, which are wispy, and they're not too thick nor heavy on one side or the other. They kind of have this nice wispiness going all throughout from beginning to end. For her lips, I am using Colourpop Aquarius lip liner to just outline the edges of her lips. I'm not even really overdrawing for this look. I'm keeping the lip line pretty natural. And then once I have covered the perimeter of her lips, I'm then going to be filling in with my favorite nude from MAC, which is Honey Love. It's a pretty neutral shade. It goes with pretty much any skin tone, any type of eye look. This is just like a good everyday type of lipstick. And of course, applying it with my favorite lip brush. And I say that sarcastically because we all know this isn't a lip brush, it is a concealer brush. I've mentioned this many times before, but I just use what works for me. I set her face with the Cover FX Illuminating Setting Spray, and this is the completed look. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. All links are down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video.
I'm a lonely heart feline. I take what's mine, then I leave behind.